Cheers.
Cheers.
There you go.
Hi, I'm Allie.
And I'm Becki.
We are registered dietitians that are passionate about using food as medicine, and we use functional approaches to whole body health.
In today's video, we will be covering why you need to drink more bone broth, especially during times of high stress, 5 therapeutic nutrients of focus that are found in bone broth, and our favorite way to sip on bone broth. So let's kick off, Allie. I know you just did a recent piece for Mind Body Green, and you talk all about it in your anti-anxiety diet book. Why is bone broth so important?
Yes, so it first starts with the understanding of the importance of our gut to whole body health. When we look at the role of our intestines, both small and large, they play a role with assimilation and absorption of the nutrients in the food that we eat. They play a role as housing a space for our microbiome. Our immune system is heavily resided in the gut. There's an area of tissue called the GALT, the gut-associated lymphatic tissue, and the gut plays a big role with regulating pathogen, bacterial overgrowth, yeast overgrowth in the body, and more. What's important to note is that when we're under stress, our gut actually takes quite a hit from the stress response. We've seen in clinical studies that we can get sterility of our microbiome, meaning the good probacteria that live in our gut and in a balanced, mellow gut make serotonin and GABA. But when we're under stress, those positive strains of lactobacillus and bifido get depleted, and then we don't have those feel-good neurotransmitters. So that just further perpetuates the stress response. Also, if the gut is in a dysbiotic state, we make more adrenaline or epinephrine, keeping us keyed up in that fight or flight survival mode. Stress alone also drives leaky gut. So we see that when we're under high stress, we see an increase of markers like secretory IgA or lipopolysaccharide, LPS. These are compounds that actually make tiny holes tearing in our gut lining. It's made in the body in response to a pathogen, but also just mental and emotional stress. So the idea is that these markers go up so that we can increase the permeability in our gut so that our entire immune system can fight off something that the gut wasn't able to get rid of. But when we're under just mental or emotional stress, there's nothing to get rid of. And instead, we're dealing with leaky gut. This means that we have larger food particles than desired getting into our bloodstream. Our immune system responds like a high pollen day, putting out a lot of inflammatory mediators, and we can see whole body dysfunction. This can hinder our metabolism. This can drive further perpetuating anxiety and depression. This can drive autoimmune disease and so much more.
A lot of really compelling reasons, and I think that's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's unpack 5 nutrients that we actually find in our bone broth and what makes this such a powerhouse.
Yes, so when we're looking at bone broth, we're looking at amino acids and other biological compounds that help to support the integrity of that gut lining. The first one I would highlight is glutamine. Glutamine is actually an amino acid that's a fuel source for our enterocytes. Our enterocytes are our gut cells. So they actually feed our gut cells and aid in the repair and the rebuild process. So if we had that damaged epithelial lining of our gut tissue, the glutamine actually helps to come in there, feed the gut cells, and create a repair process. In fact, we use high-dose L-glutamine in our GI lining support in the Naturally Nourished Clinic for all inflammatory bowel disease and when we're working with food sensitivity.
Absolutely. And then you also get a potent dose of collagen and gelatin. That's what gives your bone broth when it's cold that jiggle factor.
Yes.
And beyond the connective tissue of the gut that Allie's alluding to, we also see bone broth supportive of connective tissue all throughout the body. So hair, skin, nails, even our joints.
And supporting a growing body with
Yes.
baby inside. Really important for sure.
Yep.
That elasticity is welcomed. And we've seen in clinical studies that we can see a reduction in cellulite with the use of collagen and gelatin. So another added benefit for sure. We look at another amino acid, glycine, and glycine has been shown in literature when depleted to drive things like insomnia. It aids as a neuromuscular relaxer for our body. So when we hold tension in our shoulders or our jaw or our neck after high stress times, we tend to have a higher need for glycine. Glycine aids in disengagement in those tension points, and it also converts into GABA. GABA is a primary inhibitory compound that aids us in mellowing out.
Yes, a really good reason to sip on a mug of bone broth maybe before bed to get that wind down, mellow out, ready for sleep.
Yes.
And then proline and arginine are two more amino acids found in bone broth that are going to be supportive of reducing inflammation in the body, supporting our immune system. And arginine actually can work as a vasodilator, so supporting your blood pressure coming down.
And that's important because when you're stressed, not only do you dump sugar into your bloodstream, but you also see that vasoconstriction. So the bone broth could not only protect your gut from that damage of stress, but also can help to regulate the blood pressure influence.
Totally.
And the fifth nutrient of focus would be electrolytes. So as you'll see, even some of these five have double down. So there's a myriad of benefits you can get from your broth. But the electrolytes of focus include sodium, calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. So bone broth is important even in the hot months of summer, post-exercise as an electrolyte restabilizer, and we use it in our 12-week virtual ketosis program as a way to mitigate keto flu side effects.
Let's go ahead and whip up one of our favorite ways to consume bone broth. For those of you that joined us on the Anti-Anxiety Diet Cookbook Tour, we actually made this at most of the stops.
Yes, we made this at all of our stops for people to sip on, and it was a fan favorite. And it's a really great way to brighten up what we call hot meat juice. We live in, the Austin, Texas area, and some clients say, I just can't sip on hot meat juice. That doesn't sound appealing to me. So we really brighten it up with some characteristics of the cilantro and the bright lime, and I think y'all will really enjoy it. So we'll start with 3 to 4 cups of heated bone broth. So this was already simmered on our stove top. You can see the steam coming off the top here. All right.
And then we're adding about 1/3 of a cup or so of full-fat canned coconut milk.
And I would call attention to the form of coconut milk that you are getting. We do really like this brand, the Native Forest. The reason for this is it is a whole food. The only ingredients in here are going to be coconut, milk, and that's coming from organic coconut and filtered water. So this is a BPA-free can that would not leach into the product. And also it does not have stabilizers like carrageenan or guar gum. And so we always look for things that are closest to single ingredients that we can understand and identify. So we got the fat in there from the coconut milk. And I just pierced the half of a cut lime here to liberate the juices. And I'm gonna twist with my fork as I go over the blender here to get half of a lime juiced into here. It's gonna add some vitamin C, which is important because actually of all the tissues of our body, our adrenals hold the most vitamin C. So a great additional stress support.
And then I'm adding about a tablespoon of dried turmeric powder. So a really great antioxidant and anti-inflammatory boost.
I'm going to add in a liberal pinch of a mineral salt. This is Redmond Real Salt. And we love quality sea salt, another way to boost those electrolytes to our already salted broth. Get a 1/3 pinch in there. All right. So you want to blend it on medium-high. You don't want to create a super foamy head. Well, that's per your desire, but I just like to make it nice and creamy. Look at that beautiful, bold turmeric in there.
It smells so good. And I'm going to top it with a little bit of chopped cilantro. So this is going to ramp up your antioxidant content in this broth, give you a little bit of zing and zest of flavor. And cilantro can help to chelate toxic metals from the body as well.
Yeah. Great boost for our detoxification pathways.
Beautiful.
So this mug is truly a facelift for your gut, as well as a shield for the daily stressors that you face. and maybe supports your mellowing mood, body fat boost, and immune support.
Well, cheers to that.
All right.
So if you like this video today, go ahead and like and subscribe below, and also check out in the resource section where we link our Amazon store where you can find things like the coconut milk that we used today.
Yes, and if you enjoyed this, also make sure that you check out the Anti-Anxiety Diet Cookbook and the Anti-Anxiety Diet, where I talk deeply about the stress and whole body connection. And an awesome combination of flavors. Let's just do that line again.
Hair in your
I know, I started eating my hair.